There are quite a lot of people in the Cyberpunk community that want a metro system and a working transportation system. Well, now thanks to Nexus Guy 999, we now have a fully fledged metro system with handcrafted stations. With the metro system being the first collaboration video myself and Ryan did for this channel, I think it's fair to say that we're pretty interested. My name's Mike, you're watching Deconstructing the Game. Let's get to it. Now of course this is actually a mod for PC, so if you're not comfortable using mods, you can always check out an earlier video I did where I go through how to install them and all the things required. The metro system works exactly how you'd expect. You go to the metro stations already in the game, enter them, and you'll be transported to the handcrafted stations at the top of the metro line. There are a total of 19 handcrafted stations, and I have to admit I really like the attention to detail. Even the elevator shafts are completely different and it matches the environment. So if you go to a place like Charger Hill, the elevator looks fancy, and if you go to a place like in Watson, the elevator is slightly more run down. The stations even have drop-off points and vending machines that you can use. And what I really like is that it's actually utilised these stations that already exist. So for some of them that used to have interiors or cut interiors, they've gone ahead and utilised that space and turned it into an actual metro station. Accessing these metro stations isn't always flawless, and sometimes you'll teleport through walls and clip through doors, but it does the job. The NCART itself is actually a module within the game that you can spawn in Object Spawner and AMM, because it is actually going around the track in the normal game, it just doesn't have an interior. But neither does this one. There's actually a lot of trickery going on here. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I have an idea. First of all, the interior of the NCART system is actually the bus. You'll probably know this if you played the game right to the very end, and you'll only ever see the interior once or a couple of times in side missions. They've used what was already in the game, and I think that's fantastic. The windows are big, it looks really good inside, so why not? If you flick the third person view, you'll see that the NCART system is actually back to the NCART. But if you go into the mod menu and change your position inside the cart for the first person view, when you flick backwards and forwards, sometimes you'll see that it is actually a bus driving on the track. Now I don't have a problem with this, it's quite hilarious, but it's an ingenious method of making this trans system work. But that's not the only thing, because the tram is actually a bike as well. You see, when the tram rolls up on the line when you're at the station, there's actually a motorcycle inside that tram cart running on the track. So it actually alternates between a bike and a bus, and it changes what it looks like on the outside. Now I don't know how they've done this, but it is really well done. Sometimes you can really break this mod by flicking the camera angles too much, or maybe try free fly inside the cart and then jump on the bike. You can really cause some problems with this mod, but if you use it in the conventional sense and use it the way it's intended, it looks fantastic. In my opinion, this is one of the only ways that you should ever have travel through Night City. CD Projekt Red really missed a trick with this one, and if they had taxis and metros as the only way of fast travel and take away the fast travel points, it adds way more immersion to the game and you can explore more of the verticality that this city has to offer. The scenery from the NCART looks great during the day, but it looks even better at nighttime in the rain with RTX turned on, like Ryan's showing us here. I think a lot of people will agree that this mod is going to add a lot of immersion into Cyberpunk 2077, and it's been a long time coming. So well done Nexus Guy 999, because this mod is absolutely fantastic and I think a lot of people will agree. There is only one fair caveat I can say about this mod that breaks the immersion, and it's no fault of the modder, but it's just the way the game's designed. The way the tram lines are connected in Cyberpunk means that there's sometimes invisible walls between the joins. There's more invisible walls in Watson than there is anywhere else, so if you're going to use first person, try and avoid it in Watson, because otherwise you're going to see debris flying through the cart system when it smashes through that wall. You're also going to hear the crashing sounds as well, so in third person view you're not going to see it as much and you're not going to hear it as much, but in first person you're going to be completely bombarded with those crashing sounds as you hit the invisible walls. But that's the only thing I can say that's wrong with this mod, and it's not any fault of the modder, it's just the way the game's made. There's also a fair amount of settings that are associated with this mod, like the speed, the distance of the camera, where V sits inside, and how much it costs. There's a UI system telling you where the tram's going next, and the timers at the stations are actually accurate to when the train arrives. So a lot of detail and a lot of thought has been put into this mod, which is extremely commendable. We're also protected from falling off the metro stations, because if you do fall off, you're teleported right back to the station as well. And the stations are no shooting zones, so if you are inside a station, don't expect to draw your gun and snipe from rooftops. I'd like to hear what Ryan thinks.
Thanks, Mike. Ryan chipping in here, and I think it's fitting that this mod that harkens back to the first video we ever did together, I like it so much, I would say this gets my vote for mod of the year. Everything about it, from working within the game engine's limitations, attention to detail, design and what it accomplishes. I especially love the idea of using the bus for the interior. It works so well, and it's a really simple solution that doesn't involve what I probably would have tried to start doing, which is teleporting a bunch of objects around to be the interior of the tram, and that would have been a nightmare. And instead it's just a simple, elegant solution that actually looks really good within the game. It's really cool sitting in this. I spent way longer than I expected just sitting in the tram, riding around, looking at the rain hitting the windows and the scenery going by. For entertainment value, this mod is up there with any I've ever played, and I really have to say this is one of the best mods I've ever seen. Mod of the year.
Well, that gets Ryan's seal of approval, and it gets mine, but what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below, and if you want to, you can join us on Discord and have a chat. For more Cyberpunk videos, check out the YouTube channel, and we're also doing more games in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. My name's Mike, you've been watching Deconstructing the Game, and I'll catch you later.